Hey, it's Jess from Knit with Jess, back with episode 2 of my YouTube adventure. Hopefully this one is a little bit better than last time. I've got a little bit of feedback, I've got a little bit of sort of experience now, if you can count a 25-minute video as experience. Today I've got a couple of different things to talk about, a couple of same things to talk about, but hopefully it's enjoyable and hopefully I can work out this week how to edit a video slightly better, because it, no joke, took me 6 hours from from the moment I started recording to uploading the video last week, and it was barely edited. I just didn't know what I was doing. Everything was wrong. The sound was wrong, everything was wrong. So let's hope this week is better. It's currently Friday, so let's see if it gets uploaded on Friday or whether, yeah, let's see. Anyway, let's jump right in, as she says after like a minute. Anyway, so first things first, I have a finished object. I showed this in my last video. This is my stick season sweater. It's finished, it has sleeves, it's finished. So when I showed it on my last episode, which wasn't last week, I keep saying last week, it wasn't last week, my last episode, I'd done all of the body, collar, one sleeve, and I'd done the short rows for the second sleeve, sorry. So I just had the rest of the sleeve to go. And it surprisingly took me quite a long time, actually. I thought I'd fly for it, and I just didn't. I don't really know why. I thought last sleeve, I'm so close to being finished, I thought I'll fly through. Didn't. But now it's done, I'm really glad. So this is, sorry, it's got bits on it, same as last week, I've just constantly got bits on everything. This is the Stick Season sweater by Rebecca Clow, of the Crochet podcast or Instagram, or if you watch her, she's great. I've knitted quite a few of her patterns now. To be honest, every time she releases something new, it instantly gets saved into my Ravelry favourites, or gets written down, or every pattern she writes, I want to knit. I don't know what it is about her, but her knitting patterns are gorgeous. Every single one. So this took me quite a long time, really, for what it is. It's mostly to pattern. Now Rebecca puts in her pattern notes for how to adjust the pattern so that it fits a man. So I did those adjustments, so this is for my boyfriend. Now, she puts the adjustments in, but it does need a little bit of common sense and figuring out and things. So I have made a bit of a mistake with this. So how I knitted it was knit the back, picked up the stitches along here, knit the front, and then join the front, knit down, and then joined in the round, I think. And I knit the front bit, the front patterned textured bit, I knit that longer than the pattern called for, as she recommends if you're going to knit it for a man. I wanted the armholes to be a bit deeper and the chest to be a little bit longer, so I knitted this longer. Did the back first, knitted it to where I was happy with, then knitted the front. The thing was, because of the construction, because it's a drop shoulder, the front and the back pieces aren't the same. So the front piece is longer than the back piece because the shoulder starts here. So the front is effectively knit from the back of the shoulder down. So you can't measure from the shoulder seam down, because it gives you a different measurement to what it would on the back. So what I should have done is marked to where it should have ended and then measured how much I added. I didn't do that. I did the front and I just kept knitting till it looked right. Note to self, don't ever do that again, because it looks wrong. I don't know why I thought I could do it. I don't know why I thought I was better than the pattern. I don't know, but I thought it was. So like this, looks fine. The front and back are okay. They line up, you know, I'm holding it a bit funny, but they line up fine. When I blocked it, they lined up fine. When we tried it on, the back rises up. So I'll just show you, excuse if you can see my trousers because I've got sweatpants on, but the front is sort of to here, and then the back comes up like that, rather than it actually sitting where you'd want it to sit. So rather than it sitting nice and level, the back rides up. It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating because I thought I'd finally knit something that fitted right, the sleeves were the right length, the collar was right, everything seemed right. And then he tried it on and the back rose up. When I blocked it, because this has technically been blocked twice, it was blocked once without the sleeves and then once with the sleeves. So the body has been blocked once. I spent a lot of time getting these seam details. So if I show you the right side, these seam details here, they're really lovely. I spent quite a long time blocking them, using pins to sort of block them, as you can see, so that they open out nicely. And with that, I blocked the back slightly longer than the front because I knew it was sitting in the wrong place. And the back pulled down really nicely when I opened up those stitches at the back, because the stitches on the shoulder at the back are the ones that will open up. It came down really nicely on the back when I was blocking it, but it didn't do that in real life when it's worn. I have two options really, I think. One is suck it up. It fits. It's shorter on the back than I'd like and it comes just to the top of his jeans, but it fits. That's one option. The other option is that I have to somehow frog this, or I've seen people putting a lifeline and effectively cutting it, so knitting more and then sewing it all back together, grafting it all back together. Don't really want to do that, but it's an option. It would take a long time and I don't really know what I'm doing, and I think it would look messier because I've never done it before, and it's a shame because I love it. So I'm tempted to just leave it. I at least might leave it for now. I've still got probably half a yarn cake left of this yarn, so it's enough if I wanted to add more length that I could add more length. So I think I'm just going to see for now, see what we think. If he wears it and it's fine, then I'll leave it. If he wears it and it's bothering him or it looks silly, I'll just rip it back or whatever I have to do. So this is, I mentioned it last time, but I'll mention it again because it's a really lovely yarn actually, is the West Yorkshire Spinners Croft DK in the colour Norby. It's got such a lovely drape. I'm really surprised actually. It's quite light, this jumper, compared to what I thought it was going to be, and it's got a lovely drape. I really like it. I would happily use this yarn again on this pattern or a different pattern. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. Definitely will knit this pattern again. I want to do me one so we could be like his and hers. How cute. Yeah, I don't know what colour, but I really like the idea of doing me one. I've also seen a lot of people doing them as Rebecca calls them, stickless, so without the patterning. The Taylor Swift bright red stickless sweater has been all over Instagram, so that sort of thing, probably not in red, but I really like the idea of just using this pattern without the patterning bit, the textured bit. So I think it's a really lovely pattern. It's nice fit. I've tried it on and I liked it. It's drop shoulder, really lovely. The arms really neatly decreased. Yeah, I definitely want to knit this again for me. Just probably a little bit of a smaller size, and then hopefully it won't take as long. Anyway, so that is my finished object. That is my only finished object of the sort of 10 days, 2 weeks, I'm not sure, since I last recorded. Yeah, I recorded on a Sunday, so nearly 2 weeks. So yeah, that's my stick season. Love it. Now for whips. So on the night that cast off happened, I decided to treat myself to another one, a cast on this time. So this is in my new basket, which has still got the tag on, which, look how cute this is. I don't know if it's going to be a whip basket, but it was there and I needed something to put my new whip in, so it's working for now. This, and again I mentioned this as a sort of planned to work on in my last video, but I have cast it on. I'm just trying to be careful because I've not got any needle stoppers on my needles. So this is the rug sweater. I'm probably gonna absolutely butcher the name, but it's Junko Okamoto. I'll pop it in the bio. It's a free pattern from 2017. Now there's a lot of things about this pattern that are lacking, maybe not great, but it's a really different construction to what I've knit before, and it was sort of the feel of jumper that I wanted to go for, so I'm knitting it for that reason. I really wanted to, actually the plan was to knit this as my first colour work sweater because it's really basic colour work and it's a thick heavy weighted yarn. I think it's an Aran worsted type heavyweight yarn, but anyway, it would be a really good beginner colour work. I think if you've knit sweaters before and just wanted to add colour work in, I think this would work. However, I started the Sasky sweater, which is colour work, a fingering weight colour work, and my Norfolk sweater test knit, which I'm going to come to. Both of those are colour work, which I started before this, but I think I just had it in my head I was going to knit it, so here we are. This is all I've got to show for it, really not a lot. Now this is the collar. It's I guess a bare neckline, a collar. It's not got a collar on it. This is it. This is the top. It's a raglan construction, but it's not a particularly neat, like this typical yoke. Oh, sorry, it's not a raglan. It's a yoke. The normal raglan with the sort of increases and increases only. There's no decreases in that. Increases either side that then create the line, the nice fit of a raglan. Raglan? That's not what this is. No, the rug sweater is a free pattern on Ravelry. You can get it for free, which I'm going to come to in a minute. I'll just mention, just so I'm showing you what you are actually looking at. It doesn't have the lines because this is knit so we're doing decreases, sort of space throughout, increases. Why do I keep saying decreases? Increases space throughout. So say, for example, knit 6, increase, knit 6, increase, knit 6, increase, knit 6, increase, and then you do several rows of just knitting, and then again, and it's creating this sort of shape. Oh, it's a bit bunched up on the needles, but you can see it's creating this sort of shape of going outwards. Now, I think part of the reason the rug sweater is free, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's because it's quite an old pattern. It's not fantastically well written, and I think it was one of her first-ish kind of patterns, and I think therefore she's released it free. She's gone on to do some really lovely patterns since then that I've had a look at, and the rug sweater is a one size sweater. Obviously, quite the opposite to a size inclusive sweater. It did kind of put me off, making me want to knit it, but it's a free pattern, so it's not like she's charging people for a non-size inclusive pattern, if you know what I mean. She's not profiting from it, and having looked at her more recent patterns, she is now a very size inclusive knitter by the looks of it, so it didn't necessarily make me want to not knit it completely, hence why I'm knitting it, obviously. The other thing to mention is that it's got Japanese short rows. I've never worked Japanese short rows before. I've done German short rows. They are slightly different, similar type of thing. I think if you've done one, you could do the other. It's quite a similar sort of idea, I suppose. Now, the pattern doesn't really describe the Japanese short rows very easily, so I had to do some googling. Sorry, I've got myself a little bit tangled in it. I don't know what I'm doing. I had to do a little bit of googling and work out how to do Japanese short rows. So what I did was I used the pattern as a guide rather than following the pattern. So the pattern states, this is off the top of my head, so it's not going to be completely correct, but the pattern states knit 8, turn in the Japanese short row style, slip 1 and then purl however many, popping your stitch marker in at some point. Just didn't really give me an idea of what it wanted me to do with the Japanese short rows. It says use the style, but it doesn't say how. So I had to look it up anyway. And when I did look it up, they were suggesting I put the stitch markers in a different place than the pattern did. So I followed what was online because I thought if I had a step-by-step guide, I could follow that and then I wouldn't be wrong. So that's what I did. I followed the step-by-step, put the stitch markers in a different place, and it's worked absolutely fine. I got the same number of stitches as I should, everything worked out fine, and it looks really neat. I found with German short rows, I actually probably can show you a little bit on the stick season, sort of. Actually, to be honest, that looks fine. But there were some patches, I guess here, there were some patches where I wasn't very impressed with the German short rows. And it's my knitting, it's my neatness rather than the German short rows, but I just found it quite hard. And it might be partly because this is a DK, a thinner DK, a lighter DK, and this is quite a thick yarn. It might have been that as well, but I found the Japanese short rows looked much neater. There's no gaps or anything where the short rows are. So I would definitely do that again. I really liked it. This is, and I'm going to butcher this. This is going to be a theme. Sorry, I've got fluff in my mouth. This is going to be a theme of my YouTube videos that I cannot pronounce anything right. And do you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is. I can't pronounce it right, but that's what bios are for, I think, and that's what pictures are for. And I can show you. So this is the yarn I'm using. It's the Lopi. Alafos Lopi? Who knows? Who knows? It's Lopi. It's, oh, I was trying to look for a colour name. Seems that they don't have colour names. I think I did this last time too. But I've got this, is going to be the contrast colour for this. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. So, yeah, that's going to be nice, I think. Like I say, I've only just started it. I cast it on within the last week. Maybe Saturday, maybe. I'm not sure. Within the last week I've cast it on. I haven't knit a huge amount on it. The yarn is really quite rough as well. I know somebody who raves about Lopi yarns. And I don't even know if that's how you say it. That's how she says it. That's how I'm going to say it. Someone who really raves about Lopi yarns. And I have a local yarn store. I nearly called it a local yarn store that sells it. So I tried it. It's quite cheap, really, as well. And I thought this was a good project to try it. My swatch I blocked and washed. I didn't actually quite meet road gauge on swatch. I forgot to say about that. Anyway, it did soften up a little bit with swatch, blocking the swatch. And it's like quite a rustic yarn on the ball. It feels softer when you're knitting it up than when it's on the ball. I'm still not 100% convinced it's not going to be a bit itchy, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that is my rug sweater. So let's go to the Norfolk sweater because I've already mentioned it. So this is, nice bag. This is my test knit for Iris of, well, I guess it's Iris makes. I guess that's how she says it. She has got quite a few test knits on the go at the moment, I think. I am test knitting her Norfolk sweater. I showed this last week, or sorry, whenever it was I last videoed. I think I was about here, I think. So I've done a bit, not loads. I'm on a colour work bit at the moment, so I've got 2 balls, which is not ideal, and my jingly jangly stitch marker as well. So this is it. I'm really enjoying this. I really like it. It's working out nicely because of how it's in sections. So we've got like the purl lines, colour work, purl lines, colour work. This bit of colour work's then going to be the bottom to then go into the ribbing. It's sort of you get through this bit and then you're onto a different section of colour work, and then you're onto this bit, and they're quite small patches, so it almost feels like you just can't wait to get to the next bit. And because it's a thicker weight, it's working up quite quickly, to be honest. I'm quite happy. I was worried about my gauge differing between my colour work and the sort of just main colour sections, because on this bit it pulled in quite a lot. Now, having this part, it's still noticeable, but it's a lot less noticeable. So I think I don't have to worry anymore. I think whether it's to do with the construction of the increases and that sort of pulled it tighter, maybe, I'm not sure. But I think I'm less worried about that now I've got to here and I've seen all of this bit. Obviously this bit's bunched in on the needles, but I'm much less worried about it pulling in. I think it looks a lot better. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying this test knit. We've got a long time for this test knit, but I do want to get the body finished because I'm so close. In the pattern, she sort of explains how to make the body longer if you wanted to, but I actually think it was already getting to a nice length if you include the fact that it's going to have ribbing. I am one for a cropped jumper sweater, so I do like a long, cozy, baggy sort of look, but also I like a cropped look, sort of high-waisted jeans, boots, cropped jumper, cropped sweater, French tuck, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I think that looks really nice. So I think I'm going to do this one. It's not cropped, I wouldn't say it's cropped, but I'd say it's as short as she would recommend, with then the option that if you wanted to knit it longer you could. I'm not going to, I don't think. I think I'm just going to do it as it is. But I'm happy with it. It's coming along nicely. I'm surprised how far the yarn is going with this, actually. I keep thinking like I must be nearly there for needing to change to a different ball of yarn. Don't need to. It's great. It's really great. So that is my Norfolk sweater. Now let's show this sock. I've not been knitting an awful lot on this sock, but last time I showed it I was just on the leg, I guess you'd call it, and I have done the heel turn, so I've got past the heel now. It's looking a little bit baggy on here. I'm not necessarily mad about it because it will probably just sort of slouch down and be a comfy sock. Not necessarily bothered by it. My only worry is if the foot is a little bit wide. I think I talked last week about the fact that I use the same needle size for the cuff and the leg. I think probably I should have just changed down 0.5 millimeter for the leg, because it is quite baggy, like it's all over the place, but it's fine. I love it still. I was debating doing the heel in the white to match, but when I was knitting along I just thought, actually, do you know what, I'm quite happy with it like this. I think I'm still going to do a toe in white to sort of match the cuff and the toe, but I'm quite happy with this for now. Annoyingly, there is a small hole in this. Well, that's quite a big hole actually. That looks really terrible. There was a hole. I did use the technique that the Crazy Sock Lady uses on her socks, where when you pick up all of your sort of gusset stitches, I think gusset stitches, when you've done your heel and you've done your turn and you're picking up your stitches along the side of the heel flap, she uses the technique where once she's picked all of those up, she then picks up a sort of extra stitch in the back loop and it sort of twists that hole shut. I think it works. I do think it works. It's worked here, but it's not worked on the other side. And if you watch the Crazy Sock Lady's videos, which is how I first learned to knit socks, that's where I learned that from. And yeah, she says in her videos it doesn't always work on both sides. That's fine. It's an easy fix to sew those up, no problem. But yeah, this is the spring sock yarn from Rosie's Moments. It's really lovely. Really, I've got really nice spring vibes from it. The colour is actually picking up really nicely on the camera. I really hope that you guys can see it the same, because it's all these gorgeous like sort of greens and blues, oranges, yellows, and there is a little bit of white, which is why I picked the white for the cuff. Really lovely sock. This pattern is just one I'm making up as I go. I cast on 64 stitches for the ribbing, ribbed, did the leg for a bit, a heel turn. I find it quite easy to remember when you've got 64 stitches. I find it quite easy, you just do half, so you're doing 32, picking up, you know, it's quite easy math if you always do the same one, and I pretty much always pick up 64 for my socks because that fits me. Yeah, so I'm happy. I know what I'm like though. I'm no doubts I'll get to the toe, cast off, and then we'll never cast on the second one. Hopefully not, because this is really gorgeous and I don't want to waste it. But also I know what I'm like, and I've started so many socks that I haven't finished, or I've got one, or yeah, we'll see. So that is my sock. I'm also going to show you something slightly different this week, which is a crochet project. So I've got a family, a close relative who is having a baby this year. She's due in June, little girl, and I was crocheting her a little blanket. It was a purple blanket. I think it's called PK stitch, maybe something like that. Now I only started crocheting in January. I have had a go before, had a little pick up before, and wasn't very impressed. Didn't find I could do it. I think having had quite a lot of knitting experience has helped me now. I say quite a lot, you know, more than I had at the time. Has helped me crochet. I've got better tension in my hands for the yarn. So January I picked it up, had a go, was quite pleased. Anyway, I started crocheting up a baby blanket in purple. I think it was just a Stylecraft purple baby blanket. It was okay, but it was just very much the same. I was just going back and forth on rows, back and forth, back of the same stitch over and over and over again, and it was getting tedious. First bit flew because I was excited. I was learning something new. I was picking it up, and then I was really pleased because I felt like I'd nailed it, like I'd got it in my memory exactly what I was doing with the stitches. It was muscle memory. It was whizzing by, but then it just dragged and dragged and dragged, and it was taking so long. And I'd only done a really small amount. I wish I'd brought it up to show you really, but I'd only done a really small amount, and I haven't touched it in a couple of months maybe. I'm not sure. So I've been having a think about what I could do. I did contemplate just doing a knit project instead, maybe a little baby girl or something, and I might still do that as well, but given that she's due in June, I'm running out of time. But for now I've decided to crochet a different blanket. So I've found this is it so far. This is a moss stitch corner to corner blanket. Now I found a pattern online that was a striped moss stitch corner to corner crochet, similar to this, with two contrast colours and main colour. I think their stripes are all the same size, whereas mine are different. My white stripes are thinner. Now I tried to follow the pattern and it had a YouTube video with it, and oh my gosh, was I getting frustrated with it. I wanted to throw that across the room. As you know, if you've watched my stories on Instagram, I was not impressed. Could not get it to grips with it. I originally started the corner in pink, and I cast on, well, I guess it's just beginning in crochet. It wasn't even a cast on, it was a chain 3 or whatever it is to start. But I'd started and it just was not looking right. It was not looking right at all. Frog back, tried again, not looking right, frog back. I did it about 5 times and I thought I was going to lose it. I thought, this is it, I can never crochet again, I can't do it. So I took a break and walked around a little bit, came back, and I changed the colour yarn because I thought, I'm just going to trick my brain into thinking this is a new project and I'm going to switch colour yarn. I did. I also found a new pattern and a new video, and here's what I've got to show you for it. Now the pattern I used was not for a blanket, it was for a corner to corner washcloth type little towel. But because it's corner to corner, you can just keep going forever and ever and ever until you are the size you want, and then you just do the decreases. So I'm using that pattern even though it's not for a blanket, and I'm sort of modifying the two patterns. and I'm really glad I've been doing that because I love it. It's crocheting up really quickly. I started it 3 days ago, maybe 3 at the most 4, 3 days ago, and yeah, it's going quite well. I measured it last night and it was about 47 centimeters, I think, along here. Might be a tiny bit more now, but not much. It's probably not even 50. I want it to be bigger than this, but I'm really pleased at how it's coming along. I really love these colours. I'm glad I picked these colours. So I've got a lot of ends to weave in. I started though, most unlike me. No ends here. Amazing. So this yarn is Lion Brand Feels Like Butter, Periwinkle, White and Dusty Pink, I think. I've seen people use the Lion Brand Feels Like Butter yarn before, and I'd seen pictures of it and I was like, that doesn't look that nice. That doesn't look that nice. I'm not really sure how the yarn is constructed or if you can even tell. Probably not. It doesn't look like it will be soft. It's 100% polyester, designed for babies. So I'm just gonna get a bit comfy again. I just didn't think it would be that soft. Oh my gosh, was I surprised. It is so soft compared to what you think it will be like. Now I think we all started there. We all started, I think, on acrylics, at least most of us did. I've knitted with acrylic yarns. I've crocheted with a few acrylic yarns. I don't have a massive thing against it. I am a little bit of a yarn snob these days and I don't love acrylic yarns, but I'm not completely against using them. Like if that's what you can afford, if that's what you want for a project, if that's what works, I think they've got really a lot of pros, to be honest. And they do come in some really nice colours, variations, and yeah, it's what it is. Polyester, I don't really know if that's sort of a similar, people have got a similar take on polyester as they have acrylic. I'm not sure, but I'm very impressed. I really was not expecting it to be this soft and squishy. It's perfect for a baby blanket. I can just imagine her snuggled up in this already and she's not even born yet. I would recommend this yarn for a baby blanket all day long. Machine washable, super soft, lots of gorgeous colours, and it's quite easily accessible, especially in the UK. I don't know what it's like elsewhere, but I have seen people in other countries use it, so you must be able to get it. Where? I don't know. In the UK, you can get it in loads of places. I love it so much that I've already been debating making more blankets in it, even though I don't have any more babies to give it to. Maybe just for me, who knows. Anyway, so it's got a little bit more to grow. I think I'm going to do at least another one of the periwinkle colours, which is sort of like a bluey purple. It's not blue and it's not purple, it's sort of in the middle. I'd say it's probably more blue than it is purple, but I'm going to at least do another one of those. Then I'm going to do a half a white before I do the decreases. Sorry if I'm muffling my own voice. And then I'm going to border it, I think, in white. I think it's going to look really pretty and it's going to look so cute for a baby girl. So yeah, I crochet baby blankets now. Amazing. Yeah, it's turning out so lovely though. I'm really pleased, really pleased. And it's quite an easy knit, crochet. As soon as I realised how to work on my stitch, I got it. You've just got to work out. The thing with knitting is I know how a stitch is constructed, and I can look back and I can know if a stitch is twisted, and I can know how to undo stitches in knitting, and I sort of understand how knit stitch works, to know where I've made mistakes, to know where to pick things up. You know, you can read your knitting almost. Crochet, I'm not there. I don't know how to read crocheting. So moss stitch is quite difficult because you're looking for stitches and then you're picking up the gap in between them. When quite often in crochet you're picking up a stitch, so you're crocheting into a crochet stitch. In this blanket you're crocheting into the gap between the stitches. So you have to identify the stitch and then find the gap and then identify the next stitch and then go in the gap. It's quite difficult when you're starting and it's quite a small piece and all your stitches are sort of bunched together. As soon as you've worked out where it is, you do become an expert in it and you pick those up so fast and it works up really quickly. So simple. And I'm not getting bored like I was with the other blanket. Like it was, I did think to myself, am I going to just get bored the same because it's still the same stitch backwards and forwards, but it's got stripes, it's got increases and decreases, it's just a little bit different. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just because it's new. Maybe I'll get over it in, you know, a day or so, and I'll be over it and I'll hate it, but who knows. So that's what I've been working on recently. I think that's it. I have got other bits and pieces that I've got around. I've got a granny stitch type crochet blanket that I started. I haven't really worked on that at all. I've got 2 other pairs of socks on the go. One I'm on the second sock, one I've knit that much of the toe and the foot, which is my first toe up sock. I think that's pretty much all I've got knitting wise. Oh, I've got my little grey top, which I showed last week. Haven't touched it. I've been taking my other things in the car with me when we've been going out. The sock's been coming with me in my handbag. I haven't touched the top. In fact, it's still exactly where I left it after my last video. I popped it back in its project bag and it's stayed on my desk since. I haven't touched it. Oh, the only other thing I'm going to mention actually, which is sort of an acquisition, sort of not, is I bought this book. When did I buy this book? Maybe February? That's the first week of February, I think. We were in Cornwall, I think. I need a little yarn shop. I got this, and I got the 52 weeks of socks book as well. But I picked this one up because I wanted to have a little book where I could look through stitches, maybe have a little go at making my own patterns, have a little go at learning some new stitches. It's got quite a lot of little details in here as well about how to add patterns into your knitting and what the effect of certain things had. Like if you had a rib stitch, does it pull everything in and that sort of thing. So I thought it would just be a handy book to sort of have around. I think that's probably better than this, but it was in a shop. I could look at it hands-on, and I knew it had lots of things that sort of drew me to it, and it was a really good price actually, so that's why I got it. And since getting it, my intention has been to try some stitches out of it, have a play around, learn some new things. So I decided to have a little go at some lace knitting. I don't think I've ever properly done lace knitting. I did a little bit of a lace sock on a really nice yarn actually, but I frogged it back because the problem was I started it, put it down for a bit, and then forgot where I was in the lace pattern, and I just couldn't really work it out, so I left it. I didn't want it to be a mess, and I frogged it back. It would be nice to try again, to be honest, on a little sock or something quite basic. I don't know if a sock would be basic, but I know how to knit a sock, so adding a pattern to that would be, you know, I'm by no means a sock expert, but I can knit a sock. Anyway, that's not the point of this. The point was I've been going through these sort of lacy patterns, and they've got some really nice sort of flowery lace patterns, so I've been trying out a couple of those. I was given by a relative some bamboo cotton yarn. I think it's just King Cole. I've been just using that to try it out on, and it's actually surprisingly nice. I think we all know lace knitting needs a good block to get it to look right, but I'm already pleased with it. I'm not going to show it now because there's nothing really to see, it's just some holes in a piece of knitting. But I think that potentially if I can have a bit of practice, knit it up nicely, I think it would be really nice on like a little top or something. Now whether I find an existing pattern, like I know that Rebecca Chloe's got the toaster tank and a toaster tea, whether I find an existing pattern like that and just add in a lace pattern into that, maybe that's a possibility. I don't think it would be too hard to do as long as you could work out sort of the stitch counts and things like that. I did, and it's just probably a little bit of maths, and I could do that. Or whether I completely start fresh and make my own top. It seems ambitious. When I first cast on that lace piece down there, that was exactly what I had intended. I thought, this is it, I'm going to make a top up, lace knit, gorgeous top, and I had it all in my head. It seemed ambitious at the time. It seems very ambitious now. We'll see. We'll see. I always have crazy ideas for becoming a pattern designer, and I think, oh, you know, I'm gonna knit these socks, and I'm gonna knit this top, and I'm gonna knit this gorgeous jumper, and then it never happens because I'm not that good at knitting. One day maybe, one day, But for now I think I'll just stick to other people's patterns and just enjoying crafting along and, you know, making my own little adjustments to patterns where it fits. Like with the 6 season that I adjusted wrong, maybe, you know, I can keep practicing that until I know how a pattern works, and then I can make my own patterns. But for now, I think I'll just stick to knitting patterns that other people have made, crocheting a little bit, and keep trying to make these YouTube videos. I don't know how this one will have turned out. I think I was a bit fidgety. Sorry about that. I hope I'm going to keep doing this. I don't want it to become a chore. It was starting to feel like it was a bit of a chore at the start of the week. I was so excited to record again, but my stick season was blocking and I didn't want to show you a blocking jumper. I wanted to show you a finished jumper. So now it's finished. I've done it. I've filmed. I've got some editing to do. This one is already longer than my last one, so that's interesting. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you come back next time, and hopefully next time I'll have some little different things to chat about, and maybe another finished object. Who knows? I doubt it, but who knows? Anyway, it was nice chatting to you. It was nice hanging with you, and I hope you have a good week. Bye. Hey, my name's Jess. Hey, it's Jess. Hey, it's Jess again. Hey, it's me. Talk about knitting. I talk about knitting all the time. I love knitting. And